a Zoom for the town.
Town, yeah, we can do that in the town, we don't do it.
That's why I'm not sitting close to her, because she can kick me if I get too close.
I got you.
Only every once in a while. Shot collar would be much better.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, we are ready to go. I'm calling this meeting of the Management Committee of the Waldoboro Cushing Friendship Transfer Station to order. And thank you all for coming. I appreciate this very much. We wanted to go over, John wanted to go over the budget with you and some changes and some interesting fun things that are going to be happening at the transfer station.
Okay,
And so John Daigle is here today to talk to you about future changes, his great ideas he has, and
Open.
we're hoping all fun things
Yeah.
related.
So, let's start off with the budget. As you can see, payroll compensation. I'm gonna be working at the transfer station for 28 hours a week. That's why the increase. I will be directing it personally, hopefully. A few ideas that I have, I should be able to make a difference up there. So I will be on working there most of the time. Also, everything else stayed pretty much the same, except of course, tipping fees for the waste. And we don't have control over that. Our tipping fees for demo, we don't have control over that. One thing to note, this year, we sent out 2,800 tons of trash, which is down. From previous years, we did go up to 31, almost 32. I was scared to bring it down because we got caught during COVID. And we brought it up right after COVID. I didn't want to get caught again. I sort of like to wait a few years before I can drop that. Of course. Also in the transportation costs, the fees, the contract is going up to $650 a trip. You know, that's over $125 more than what we paid last year. And if you remember right, I've said at other meetings, said it quite a few times, when it reached the costs being around 150,000 that we're paying for transportation costs, we should look into doing it ourselves. I'm afraid that this is the year, because the transportation costs are going to end up being around 200,000 this year just for transportation costs. I have come up with an idea of turning around. We do have money in the budget this year in the capital
budget.
Yep. And we have money in the capital. We have over $230,000 in the capital. And also I have $177,000 in the landfill closure account. What I'd like to do is utilize some of that money to turn around and buy an excavator and to buy 2 trailer trucks. The reason I want to buy an excavator is because that demo the material needs to break down more. What it's costing us, we're sending out in 30 and 40 yard containers. We can only break it down so much. And he ends up getting 3 ton, to 6 ton. And, just the transportation costs, 650. With an excavator, we've gone up with a excavator at the town garage and loaded it before, and we can get 3 times that amount. So, right now, if we borrowed, probably around 200,000 from our capital or use, that would give me a chance to buy the equipment and put everything in motion. I'm not sure that I can really come out and say we're gonna make a tremendous amount of savings. But I can see quite a bit. I can see quite a bit.
That was my question is like, how many drivers you gotta have and their salary, insurance,
Well-
excavators, upkeep, maintenance.
Well, as far as people running it, I'm gonna be up there. I'm qualified to drive truck. So I think the first year, you'll have to rely on me.
So is that what you have now is one driver or?
Gordon Libby's doing it now.
Also, whatever he has.
Whatever
right?
he
Yeah.
has, whatever he has. And we've had issues, and I can't blame Gordon, because you're never sure when you're gonna change trailer.
Right.
And okay, trailer's full, somebody come in with a big compactor, trailer's full. You call Gordon up, or whoever it was, whoever the hauler was, and they could be from 2 hours away to 4 hours away. So then people, get all excited and upset over, the hopper being full and whatnot. This would solve that problem. The reason being why 2 trucks is we've had problems with landing gears before bending them, and usually you can catch them. This winter, while they were compacting it, getting ready to send it out, the landing gear let go, and she was still hooked on to the compactor. So one side unhooked, which was lucky, but the other side was still holding on. We had quite a chore trying to get it up and get it unhooked from the building. We were lucky it didn't pull the whole compactor out. We spent cost the town $22,000 just for that repair, and whatnot. And with 2 trucks, you could have truck underneath the trailer.
So you said it would have been
Okay.
all hooked up when that
It would have
happened.
been all hooked up, it
I
wouldn't have
get you.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause you turn around, you're compacting that trash, and if they're just, half a load is fine, but when they get to the ends of full load, the trash and trailers, 40 odd feet, well, it pushes, and it pushes downhill.
Mhm.
And that's what landing gear, and then it starts moving, and wiggling. But it does cause a lot of problems on that.
So the driver part would be complicated.
Yep.
By several factors. Is if we have to have a driver other than
Yep.
John. How many hours a week will they actually work?
Right.
Because if they work over 32 hours a week, a certain number of weeks, then we're obligated to offer them health insurance.
Mhm.
So that is what kind of skews it. So, it's one of those things where.
Yeah.
He's also depending on potentially borrowing one of our public works employees.
Yes.
Who I think our new director of public works is going to frown upon
Yeah.
to some extent.
Yeah.
But so I think there's a little bit more we gotta look at as to what could we do as
Yeah.
far as a driver. That would avoid the benefits piece, which is, that's a benefit package is very expensive.
Mhm.
Well, how much savings you guys thinking? from the 200,000 to doing all this stuff?
Turn around after we get the equipment and whatnot. I'm figuring probably 30,000 a year for capital. Figuring probably 15,000 for fuel and maintenance on that. And then it would be whatever the costs are for the driver. You know, there's the insurance costs, I have no idea.
Yeah.
You know, that's a town office thing and everything else.
So what we were going to do is Peg is asking Gordon Libby to provide the hours.
Yep.
For what a round trip is for them. Because that way we can figure it out, because we can say
Right.
some days it's, oh, it's only what's an hour trip to, what's it to Bangor? It's a 3-hour round trip, but is it really always 3 hours?
Well, some days it's 4 or 5 hours longer.
Is
'cause
there a class 1 driver just sitting around waiting to do a 2-3 hour run now? I mean, that's.
You
I feel-
can,
yeah.
you can, I know
There might
one
be.
guy, yeah, I know one guy, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Drivers hard to find, any help's hard to find.
Drivers are
Yeah.
hard to find.
It's not like it used to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not
Yeah.
like you're gonna take a truck all the way through the back roads. You're gonna have to
Right.
go main highways, which
Yeah.
adds a little bit more time to it.
Right.
At least I would hope we would be going main highways. Hope we're not going up 235.
So
Are we?
what would this come out into a freeway, like just a Waldoboro vote? And-
Has to be. So this, any change like this isn't a 3-way vote.
Right. Just a Waldoboro
Just,
vote.
it's a Waldoboro, but of course, we're open to input.
Yeah.
And if you have any ideas, you know, I'm working on seeing if there are other haulers. I just, you know,
Mhm.
Well, it's hard. I don't know the operations. I have to take.
we're going to have,
Yeah.
well, I just want to make sure that the next time we meet,
Mm.
you, and I'm sure the select board's going to ask for
Mhm.
all the information.
Mm.
We'll have, like I
Dollars
said,
and all that.
this was tentatively like, oh, this sounds like a good idea to pursue from the budget committee and the select board, but
Mhm.
I want to make sure we have all of our ducks.
Right.
Yep.
John gave me the name of
Mhm.
another hauler he knows to get a price from.
Yep.
But if you guys know anybody who does this, please let us know.
We can get a hold of the guys that drop it in Fintown. They like to do that a lot, maybe. No, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
tough to find help to,
Right,
I mean, you want to start something up, but then who's gonna work it?
that's.
Hmm.
You know, and we do have one guy who actually has driven the big trucks.
Oh, yeah.
Up at the garage. I don't know how much John's driven, but.
So
it'll
what are
be
you
in-
done at the
Okay.
garage now, John? You're
Yeah.
just gonna run the dump, is that?
Yep.
Well, until, we're gonna get through the summer, John's
Yeah,
gonna kind of,
Train and,
he's
Mm.
still gotta be our trainer for our, some of our heavy
Yeah.
equipment
Mm.
and also for our CDL.
Yep.
Cause if we have if somebody leaves and we need to hire a CDL driver, the last 2 John's trained that are at the garage.
so if you was driving, would that be in your 28 hours or
Yeah.
could you, that would be, yeah.
We could also,
Yeah.
we can work around.
Move it a little
We
bit.
can move it a
1
little
week's
bit
more
when
than
we
the-
have
yeah.
to. He only has to be gone all of October.
Yeah.
And that's a state law, not a. Because he's going to actually
Hopefully.
potentially
Mm.
retire.
Yeah,
But we can't tell his wife that. Oops, we're on.
yeah.
Just told everybody.
Say, "Wait a minute, are there more options for hours? He could be home with me. It was a shock. Because I was the one that made the call to say, hey, what's the new rate looking at like
Right.
this year? And that $128 jump was,
If this didn't pass or you couldn't do it, would it be worth looking into just having a short cab or something, sitting at the dump to move them trailers around?
Yeah, not really,
No.
not really. You can move them around there, but you're still unhooking them and everything else,
Yeah,
so.
what's a short cab?
just a
Day
just a
cab.
Yeah, just a cab.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
could,
Little yard dog, yard truck.
yeah, just get something you could leave hooked to the trailer, so the
I
legs
gotcha.
didn't break or something again.
Sorry, I just didn't know that term.
I don't know. I don't know if that was the right term.
My other thing that I just wanted to point out too is, as far as like maintenance and stuff, do you feel like the mechanics we have are capable of maintaining
Oh,
things
yeah.
like that?
I know we're saving a bunch now with Stewart and them fixing what they can in shop. You know, rather than sending it out.
You gonna thank me for that?
You trained him, yeah? I'm not complaining. That's another thing, that's his job, you know, and because he's always wondering what up. They voted, down voted you in, that's your job.
Yep.
And I think since the last meeting, I just should also tell you that we did renew the contract with Maine State Prison with a
Mhm.
5% escalator every year.
Yep.
And with the caveat that if for some reason it should jump more than that, our, you know, our fees and everything, it has to cover the costs,
Right.
definitely.
Yeah.
So we built that in.
Yeah.
But what our hope with John being there, is that it will make the other employees feel more empowered to enforce the rules.
Yeah.
Good.
Because
Right,
the key is to make sure that when people come in, they have that recycling
yeah.
percentage and the
Yep.
trash percentage, and that somehow is
Mhm.
evening itself out.
you think that's part of the decrease in the trash is recycling's up?
No, recycling's not up. We're, our recycling percentage, we're at 22.5% this year. Before, COVID, we was running 36,
Yeah.
38. So it's dropped considerably.
With the
Um,
same recycling plants running now that was running back then?
You know, the only difference was the 1 through 7
Yeah.
plastic.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
And that's not much when you actually look
Yeah.
at what the tonnage is for that.
You know, through Lincoln County, we're doing about 400 ton.
Mhm.
So if you roughly figured out, you know, it's like a $40,000 savings.
Yeah.
And we're doing between metal TVs and fluorescence bulbs and batteries and stuff. We're doing probably another 200 tons. So we're 630 some odd ton, which we recycle, which, you know, is something that we don't have to pay to
Right.
get rid of. You know. But things changed since COVID.
Yeah.
And a lot more stuff's made to throw away.
Well,
So,
you know, everybody has cardboard delivered every day now.
Yep. Yep. So. Well, that's what I'd like to do.
Bob, did you have anything? No? I can't hear you.
No, I had to unmute myself. I've got a conversation going on upstairs at the same time, so. No, I think John's idea is a really good way to go. I mean, he's had this on the horizon for God knows how many years, John?
Quite a few.
No, he set the table pretty darn well and knew when he had to make that decision to take it in-house. So I think there's all kinds of economies of scale that can be realized from this. We've already experienced that in DPW when we brought our own full-time mechanic in. He's got 2 of them there, but and the savings have been very clear. So this makes a lot of sense.
So of course, you know, as with anything, you know, we've increased by $103,000 more. We're well over $1 million now. I never thought I'd be saying that, but for trash.
So during our budget committee and select board meeting, that brought up, how do we fix this? And that reinvigorated the conversation of pay as you throw. So, the budget committee was very interested in hearing an actual presentation from an outside third-party organization, company. So they asked the select board to schedule something and the select board approved scheduling something. So on May 13th at 6:00 PM. Waste Zero is going to come and do a presentation on
No,
pay as you throw. And it's going to be at the auditorium at Madomic Valley High School. So I wanted to tell you guys before I started seriously advertising this, because I imagine it will be an extremely well-attended event.
Wasn't that conflicted date we're gonna talk about it next week?
Oh, I thought that was their public hearing.
Yeah.
Wait, is that the same date?
Same date. That's a conflict we talked about.
Oh, okay,
That may change.
that may change. Okay, never mind. I thought that, I didn't realize it was a conflict for the pay as you throw. Oh, because we were making it a regular meeting night.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's gonna be a bad date. I'm gonna have to reschedule. Ah,
We have that on the agenda to talk about Tuesday.
okay. I gotta tell Taylor. All right, but we're gonna have a meeting with them, and it's gonna be at the Madomic Valley High School in their auditorium.
So who's this what's this?
Waste Zero.
Zero.
They have implemented a lot of pay-as-you-throw programs throughout New England.
waste one.
Waste
Waste
Zero.
zero. I just put a big fat zero in there.
If you had pay as you throw, would the budget still be the same?
No. Bob, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, the budget won't be the same. What pay as you throw does, we have a transfer station that we pay for with our taxes. We pay for the facility with our taxes, and we pay, unbelievably, we pay for the garbage that people throw away. That's not what was ever intended. What was intended was that our taxes should pay for the facility that people take their garbage to. It was never intended that we should pay for what they throw away and that we have to transport and tip. So what the price of the bag does is factor in the cost of tipping and transporting. You take those two things out of the equation. They're no longer part of the budget. How much is that, John?
Close to 500,000.
So that comes right out of the budget. You're instead of 1.3 million, you're at 800,000. Other thing though it does is it incentivizes people to recycle more. So because people are incentivized to recycle more, we're hauling less and we're tipping less. And we have savings there as well. And Taylor, when she does her presentation, will explain that in great detail. But yeah, the budget will go down.
Yep.
I thought at the last meeting I had provided you guys with, if we took out just
You did.
the tipping fees and the
Transportation.
transportation fees, it
did.
was about $500,000.
Do you guys have any enforcement on garbage?
As far as,
Well, if I rode around right now where garbage is free,
Mhm.
say I went maybe west or something, down the west side or anywhere, and saw porches covered with garbage.
Mhm.
They're not dumping it now at free. What are they gonna do when it's $1.50 a bag?
I think you're gonna be more than $1.50 a bag.
So What's gonna,
Yeah.
do you have enforcement? The trouble I find, any laws we try to, any improvements we try to, we
Mhm.
have no enforcement, so why bother?
Mhm.
So I think that that would have to be, and it's hard to answer because you're right, there are places that you could go in Waldoboro and see people who
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to.
And then not, and I just feel like we own land. And I just feel like, you know, you're gonna make your own dump out back.
Mhm.
But our issue would be,
Right.
more the issue that I think you find when you implement this, at least from the anecdotal stories I have heard, is that it then gets left on the side of the road or someplace it can't be left.
I don't understand why they leave it on their doorstep when it's free to take in the dump. Now they gotta pay $2 or $3 a bag, then
Yeah.
definitely not even gonna make the door. I don't know where we'll go.
Well, there is rules in place, for the transfer station, for Waldoboro anyways. When we set up the ordinance and all that, we did have that in there. That the code enforcement officer can go to these places and clean up. And I think that's a rule for every town.
It is, but it's not enforced. Like there's no enforcement.
But the
Our code
thing,
enforcement officer
Your
has
guy,
been trying to
yeah,
enforce
he
it.
might,
Yeah.
but we have no enforcement. I
Yeah.
don't know how you.
We don't either. And
So
it's a problem.
any ordinance we come up, there's no enforcement,
Yep.
you know?
We have to, the code enforcer in our town, which is Rodney,
Yeah,
he basically, the only way he can enforce anything is if it is a safety.
right.
Or health issue.
our health issue, yeah,
That's
And
that's
that-
how we get around it,
and
basically.
that's what it is, a health issue.
It is a health issue. for
And
sure.
safety.
I just want to know that there'll be more fires, you know, people gonna just burn the garbage.
There's laws against that too.
There's laws against
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
but, you know, once again,
Belfast hasn't been too long, they've gone pay as you throw. And I kind of like what they're doing, because a lot of people are trying to get out of paying it, so when the people show up and they have just a regular bag, they charge them $3.50 for a 30-gallon bag.
Ah,
It's getting their attention.
yeah.
yeah.
It really is. Everything I've seen up there, it's too bad. I got older people have a hard time getting around and everything else. It's pouring rain, they're out there recycling.
Oh, yeah, they're
getting
running around every bin you got.
The younger people aren't. And when I get up there,
Right.
I'm gonna get after them.
Yeah.
Because they don't bother me. I don't
Right,
care who it
right.
is. You know.
Well,
And
Wait,
I
you
will.
don't know who I am?
He doesn't care who.
I don't care.
But I think it'll be an excellent, because in all honesty, the pay as you throw could not even be at this point implemented. You guys would have to go through your town meetings. We would have to go through our town.
Why do we get a vote on that?
Because it said so in
Yeah.
the agreement that
An
we have.
agreement.
You guys
Yep.
get a vote on that.
Yep.
Each of us get a
Mhm.
vote, and so it would have to go through your town meetings, our town meetings, so we're not talking about any change until potentially, even if the votes all went
The right way.
the right way,
Mhm.
till July of next year, so it gives us a year
Till July.
with July of 2026.
Yep.
You have to wait for town meeting vote, or you can't just do it on the budget vote in
So-
June or anything?
Well, that's when it would be, but we wouldn't do it right.
Oh, you wouldn't.
Our
You wouldn't
warrant
enact it,
has
yeah.
to be
yeah.
done by next Tuesday, but
I got you.
our issue becomes, it gives a year, it gives you a year. Or, a little less than a year to really look at. Is it making a difference having somebody there who's policing it, and
Right,
are we
Oh, yeah.
policing it? Cause we haven't been as strict as we could be.
right.
So it will give us that time to see, does this make a difference?
Yeah.
And that information, even if for July to January, should give us a really good indication of, hey, what is this making a difference? And that gives you an argument if,
Well, even the threat of paper bag may lower your garbage, because everybody will get a Riverside container in the door yet.
That's just working for now. A few more years,
Yeah,
that's gonna
pretty
change.
good, yeah.
Yeah. But I will give you, last year, we took in $60,000 just in mattresses.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So it's been bugging me, it's been a problem. We turned around and raised the price to 20, and this year we're not even half that.
Yeah.
You know, it's, people turn around and they tell us, you know, they're from Waldoboro, Friendship, or Cushing. We had one guy, about a month ago, he lived in Camden, and he was moving. He borrowed a truck from his buddy in Cushing.
Yeah.
Come out. Well, of course, he got rid of half his load before
Yeah.
Mark got talking to him, and the guy come out and said it, and then Mark kicked him out.
Yeah,
And that
Oh.
might have to be that you're gonna have to have identification
Right.
with your address on it when you go to, I mean,
Yeah, it's,
it's at that point
Yeah.
where that might be, hey,
Yeah.
we need to see your license.
they do in Florida. You
Yeah.
stop just like you give me a license, they
Yeah.
go to the computer. Come back and they allow you, actually, they only allow you so many trips a year.
Mhm.
But I mean, it is what it is,
Yep.
and,
This, yeah,
you know. It might have to come to that where, you know.
Yep.
I mean, you know, obviously they're gonna know. If you came, if John came to the transfer station, they would
Yeah.
know John lives in Waldoboro,
Right.
but.
Yeah.
There's gonna be people they don't know, they're gonna have to ask, and
Oh, yeah,
maybe.
there is.
I would think so. I don't know
There is.
anybody in town
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. It's changing all the
change
time.
all the time.
But the thing gets me is, you know, this budget here, I also run the highway department. And this budget here is almost the same size as the highway department. You know, for trash. You know,
Well, I mean, everybody has trash.
it's true, but it's gone up tremendously.
Yeah.
You know, when I first started, it was a $50,000 operation a
Right.
year.
Yeah.
Now look at us, we're up in $1 million.
Yeah, but I
Well, it's been a while.
can
Well,
remember
not that
when
long.
my grandparents and them was complaining about the school budget being $1 million.
I know, and look at it now.
Look at it now.
So,
And what really hurt us was the closing of the
landfill,
landfill of
Yeah. demo.
the demo landfill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know, before we could bury that stuff
Yeah.
a lot cheaper, but
Mm.
now we gotta truck everything off.
See them dump, the quarry dumps in Rockland have, you know, the gases they light on fire. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
go by it now, you'll see them burning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that, yeah.
That shows how much,
Yeah,
you know, it's decaying, and it's funny you say that at our transfer station, the old landfill, we don't get hardly any gas. You can go and dig in our landfill, and newspapers, paper, you can still read them.
oh, really?
And the thing was that we use clay, and we done it like in 5-foot lifts, and the clay blocks the oxygen.
Seals it right off.
You know, sealed it right off, and it's pretty surprising up there. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think your Waldoboro voters will vote?
For, if
Pay
they had
for
to
that.
vote on pay as you throw. I,
Don't know.
you know, I wasn't here for the last one. The last one was an overwhelming no.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Yeah, It was-
85% now.
Holy mackerel.
but, you know, if an argument can be made, I think if the select board supports it and the, like, the budget committee supporting it. Maybe that would make a difference. I don't know. I honestly don't know. You know, I think it depends who comes out and for or against, and what the arguments are
Yeah.
made,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
You can't say, we're gonna reduce taxes because,
Well, the first argument's gonna be, it's $1 million now, and they want us to pay for the bag. You know,
Yeah.
that's the
Right.
first thing you're gonna hear.
Oh, yeah.
right,
Oh, yeah.
so
But
if,
they
But
don't
but
realize
if it's,
it's gonna be less. at
Yeah.
the
but if
end.
it's
Yeah.
rolled out properly, then you
Mhm.
put the money of what's gonna be in the budget and then what the
Oh, I
offset
get
is,
it.
but
I
again,
understand the theory behind
but again,
Hmm.
getting people to, there are people who truly just believe that that's it's
It's a ser-
taxes, it's a service.
Right.
And whatever they pay for it, it's worth it,
Right,
you know, so I don't know how many of them
Well,
exist.
I think we led them to believe that, cause most of the pay-as-you-throw facilities, when they opened up, were already pay-as-you-throw.
oh,
It
yeah.
wasn't like us.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's the tough.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the tough nut to crack. I
Yeah.
think it all depends on how it's rolled out and how it's explained.
Yeah.
And it will be an interesting exercise. I'm hoping that people come to this meeting when the date that we have it and voice, but it could be like the last meeting we had. where people
You'll
came-
get the people that's already recycling now, other than
Right.
that, you're not gonna
Right.
get anybody
Right.
else.
Right,
The wait and vote, no, call it good.
but
But the funny thing is, people ask us, and I always like coming to the budget committee and selectmen, cause I can't wait for them to ask me, well, how you gonna cut the budget?
Right,
So I usually ask them when I get up there for the transfer station, you guys gonna ask me? You guys gonna ask me? I'll tell you how. I done it this last time too.
he did it the last
Yeah.
time too, but one of the things too that I think will be interesting, like I said, is if you actually have some data to give people, it would be useful, and that's where I think if we're actually enforcing the rules, does it make a
Mhm.
huge difference or not?
Mm.
And would that rule enforcement make people more inclined to do it one way or the other?
Mhm.
oh yeah, they start getting their bag ripped open and having to like stuff around, they might be a little different.
I think he's looking forward to it.
We've done
Well,
it before.
That's why, you know, it's like, hey. But at least then we'll have some good data.
So you're not are you voting on this in June?
No,
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 we're voting on the budget because we
Right.
have to.
right, but
We are not voting
the
on,
paper bag,
no, that would be next June. That would
Okay.
be June of 2026.
so
And yours would be March of
you're
2026.
giving the garbage czar a year here to straighten.
I'm
it
giving
out,
the
yeah.
garbage czar a year, yeah, we're gonna see how.
but we don't want you to be surprised if you end up hearing, well, the dump spot, an excavator and bought
Yeah.
2 tractor trailer trucks. You know,
Even if we got the excavator
Mhm.
first, we could still use it to pack what we have.
You're right.
yes, yes,
And make that maybe less than a trip by that,
Yeah.
so. We
Right.
have an excavator, a
do.
second excavator, but it's not, we couldn't use it up, it's not.
No.
It's really, it should really just be a parts excavator now, because it's got some issues.
Yeah.
That would be very expensive to fix, we'd have to do a full body off restoration of that.
Yeah.
Although they can do it on Gold Rush,
On
I'm just
Gold Rush,
saying. One of my favorite shows.
yeah,
But we just wanted to give you this and let you know what was going on, so you can take it back. I'll give you some extra copies too, so you can call in. Your clerk doesn't have to read.
So when you're starting up there, John? Yeah, after the budget meeting? or-
well, it
Are they
depends.
voting on that, or?
It depends. We'll see what happens. I know I'm scheduled. Take October off.
Are we done? I can shut this off now.
Yeah, as far as I
guess so.
so.
We're done. I just need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
Okay.
it.